Time for another round of overrated or underrated. I'm going to read out a list of things and you're going to tell me if you think they're overrated or underrated. So first up, we have rollers. Suggestion from Carl, who says, I sold my trainer and got rollers instead, and I can't go back. Easier to set up and takes a day to learn. Plus, they keep you more focused on your pedaling.
I was going to say underrated, but I'm going overrated. As a training device, rollers don't work, in my opinion. To learn skills and to warm up before races, yes, it's much simpler because your bike drops on your ride and it's good for skills. But to get fit, it's just not going to do the same as what a turbo trainer is going to do for you.
I personally think rollers are absolutely rubbish. I used to race and I never used to warm up on rollers. I would just go and ride around the roads wherever I was, whether that's cyclocross or time trials or crit races. I would just go off of the circuit, or quite often the circuits will give you the opportunity to warm up on them anyway. So I would always just warm up like that. I've used rollers and I just don't get on with them. But on the subject of rollers, we have literally on Cade Media just dropped a video called I Tried Every Tax Indoor Trainer to Find Out the Best One. And Francis and I look at rollers along with a lot of the other tax range. So maybe if you're interested in rollers or other turbo trainers, you should check out that video.
They are really good for handling and confidence.
Yeah, I think everybody should know how to ride.
I used to go to a women's skills class on a Tuesday night where we literally just rode on rollers for an hour and threw balls back and forth in a circle to get our, bike proficiency up, and it was really good.
But you didn't need to do that on rollers. You could have done that session on
a tennis court.
Well, yeah, you could have just ridden a bike.
Yes, you could. They did outside ones as well, but I think in the winter and stuff, yeah.
Because I actually have the level 1 Triathlon Federation coaching certificate. I can't remember what it's actually specifically called. And part of the bike skills sessions is things like riding under, like limbo, but not like lean back limbo. Basically going under like bars on your bike, because it teaches you to kind of move your weight in different ways on the bike and get down low and things like that.
I mean, he says he sold his trainer and got rollers instead and he wouldn't go back. So, I mean, if it works for you, it works for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, fair. Next up, dropper posts on gravel bikes. So this is suggested by John in Redhill, who said, I'm looking at getting my first gravel bike and I wonder if it's worthwhile adding one. Hype or not worth it? I do love my dropper post on my mountain bike. So I'm going to start here and you can come in later. I have a custom made steel gravel bike that is set up to be a proper gravel bike, i.e. nearly a mountain bike, but not quite. I had a dropper post on it and I just didn't ever use it. So I took it back off again. If you are from a mountain bike background, the chances are you're going to enjoy a dropper on a gravel bike. If you're from a road bike background getting into it, you're probably never going to think, oh, I need a dropper in this scenario, unless you ride with Nick Vieri, in which case you should be on a mountain bike anyway.
Dropper post is underrated. I come from a full-on road bike background. Didn't ride a mountain bike at all as a kid, apart from when I was really small and didn't have a road bike. But I wasn't a mountain bike. I rode my mountain bike on the roads. Started riding gravels, my first foray into off-road riding. Got a dropper post and I can never go back. I actually miss my dropper post on my road bike now.
Ridiculous.
Because you descend faster.
This is ridiculous.
Anyway, it's underrated. It's the most underrated product, not for gravel, for all bikes.
That is an outrageous statement.
They should make a time trial dropper post so that like when you get in the descent, you can tuck even closer, get like more aero. Imagine the gains. It'll be a whole new subsection of bikes Cannondale can come up to sell to people that they don't need.
Next batch were all suggested by Chris. Bike bells or horns?
Underrated. Every bike should have a bell on it. On our bike packing trip this weekend, my bell didn't work because of the way Josh Reed fitted my bar bag. I should have done it myself maybe. And Rob didn't have a bell because his bike aero handlebars can't take a bell. And it was just terrible having to shout people to like make them aware we were coming past them. It's just, I think it's underrated.
I think they're underrated as well. When we were in London, I've got a really loud whistling technique. So I used to whistle instead of having a bell. But what I found when we moved to the northeast is people just assume that it's like a bird or something or other, and they just ignore you. So up here you have to have a bell because there's so much nature. Whereas in London the whistle works really well, and usually I would use the whistle in London when pedestrians walk out in the road and you're trying not to hit them.
I'm just worried sometimes of coming across as rude, or like I've got a lad that we ride with that rings his bell repeatedly when he goes, and it just annoys me so much. Just ring it once or twice. Make them aware. You don't want to like scare people out of the way. You just want them to know you're coming. Nighttime gravel's really good for this because the light is so bright that people know you're coming from like 4 miles away.
I didn't realize that you were ever concerned about being rude. Keep sending your suggestions to wildonespodcast@cademedia.co.uk, and we might read yours out on the next show.